Whoa! It's Wulzy. Welcome back to the Extreme Demon Building Series in 2.2. This is the first official deco episode, and I'm super excited to go. We are going to decorate the first part in this episode, which is this dark, mysterious, kind of open section with a lot of emphatic camera zooms here. I think it's going to be super fun because this is my favorite style to build in GD. If you're excited for the Extreme Demon Building Series, I'm going to try my best to make these videos as frequent as possible and not drag it out like I did in 2.1. I'm going to quickly set up a gradient here. I want this to be on the next free color, which is going to be a purple here, like this. But I'm going to go onto each side of it here and change the hue and the brightness to be a little bit more contrasting, like so. If we just crank the brightness on this side, we can create a cool red gradient on the right hand side of the screen. I'm probably going to set this to rotate through the level kind of casually on group number 20 here, which is just going to be used for a 20-second rotation like this, just twice around in a circle. So this red is going to go around the screen kind of naturally. I think it looks really cool. It's a good start, but we can definitely make it more emphatic, as I was saying. So we can put a pulse trigger down for that color channel number 2 that is going to pulse it on and off like this from super high brightness like this. And we're going to do an extra rotation. I'm going to give this another group just to control it. And also, I don't think you can rotate the same group on 2 different rotation triggers. So let's just set this to be 21 here. And we can rotate this around 180 degrees. I don't know, 2 seconds, exponential out. And that should add it so that this gradient kind of flies around and swaps its place. So let me just do that a couple of times on the beats here. For the last one, I'm going to just add this to be a full rotation around. And this can last 3 seconds just because I feel like it has a bit more of a like a zoom. Like, I don't know. I think it's going to make sense for the screen to spin a little bit more here. So let me just see. We have the gradient that's shifting over. I think the pulse should also last longer here. Let me just set that up with like a 2-second fade out. That's the wrong one. That's actually super embarrassing, dude. Oh my gosh. It's this one, 2.0, and then we can maybe even set this up for 4 seconds and spin it twice. Just want to make the colors feel a bit more magical here. I think it should stay this dark. I don't want to get too much brighter than this. I don't know. Yeah, you see what I'm trying to do there? Also, I'm going to do something cool with the gradient here. I'm going to set this to be on the maximum layer and make it additive. So it overlays the entire level. And that's going to make it so whatever colors I add here, if I add like, I don't know, a gray square, let's just set this up here as an example. If I just make this gray, it is going to be boosted up to the gradient color, if that makes sense. Whereas if I set this to be just regular, the whole screen will be covered. If I set it on the default settings on the background, this would just be a gray square. Like, it just makes sense to have it like this and color this square because it's going to be a lot easier to build. And I'm going to set up a little shape for the background, which is going to be a Lego looking piece like this. Let's warp this to be pretty large. This top layer should not be that big though. I'm going to set this to be background colored on a new color channel right here. You see how it's not visible? That's because it is copying the background color. What I want to do is just decrease the brightness slightly like this. Very minimally, by the way, because this is already a huge difference. Let's give this group 22 and we can link it together. Now, listen to my new copy paste sound. Copy paste. Isn't it just satisfying? Oh my gosh. I personally love it, dude. Now, for every layer that we go up, I'm going to be adding a new group. So let's just keep copy pasting up by half a space and then adding a new group to 24. I should probably be changing the Z order as well. I kind of forgot about that. Let's start this off on B4 and 1. Then the layer behind it is going to be B4 and -1, and then we can go with this layer on -2, just so these kind of go up like this. You see how there is a layer that's going behind the front layer right here. This is kind of difficult to explain because I'm making it all the same color for now, but I'm going to be adding an effect to it, which is going to be completely changing the way the colors come across. I love that copy paste sound, man. It's just so angelic. Copy paste. I don't know how many layers I'm going to go for. What's the front layer on this thing? I kind of didn't check. 22. Let's just keep going so we maybe reach like 31. That should be 10 layers of this thing. We can just drag this into the center of the screen. I'm going to make a pulse that's just going to start off with 22 as a group and just increase its brightness slightly. It's going to be a big fade time, like 0.5 and 1, something like that. For some reason, the duration line isn't showing up. I don't have that enabled. What? That is so unlike me. Let's just copy paste and go up per one group every time so that we're kind of lighting up through each layer that's going through here. And there's no sort of movement on this yet, but we should see the colors kind of go through it, you see? it's kind of desaturated. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm a huge fan yet, but there's a lot more I have to add to this. So we can copy this entire little effect here by making them spawn and multi-triggered, giving them a group 32, putting one trigger that activates 32 at the start with spawn ordered enabled, and then putting another trigger at the very end where I want it to start looping again with spawn ordered, but making this one part of the loop so that this thing should constantly be looping from the bottom up to the top. So we have this cool little effect. Now it's not done yet because I want to add different movements per layer. Let's start a movement. We're going to go with 22, which is going to start off, I think, being something along the lines of 0.7 on the X mod. And you should see what this does once I add a couple of different movements. So for every layer going up, we're going to add more to the X mod, and we're going to end up boosting it over that point where it goes to 1.0. So let's just see. If I make this up to like 0.9, you should see that the objects are moving less in the middle and more at the bottom. This is the 0.9 layer. This one is going to be 0.95. Then this one's going to be 1.0. And the next one's going to have this interesting movement where it kind of spreads out across the screen. I don't know how to explain it other than just showing you by setting it up. We just got to keep going all the way past 1.0 on these movements until we reach 1.15, which is the final layer that we have. And now we have it so the top layer is moving. Oh, God, I don't know how to show this. What if I can just set up a static camera here? I'm trying to make it. Yeah, so it kind of just spreads out and the top layer is actually moving away from the player. It's hard to see without actually seeing it. So I'm going to add my detail and then just copy paste it across the screen so you can see. I've just made an example right here where the bottom square is group number 1 and the top square is group number 3. The middle one is 2. And I've put move triggers. So we have 0.75, we have a 1.0 in the middle, and we have a 1.25. And if I play in normal mode, you can see that the top one is going away from me and this square is moving towards me. So we have this effect, which is neat, but I want to create an outline over the top, which I'm just going to do using the exact same shape I made earlier, but using outline blocks, putting corner pieces in as well. Now to use this, I'm going to have to use no touch on these objects. Let's see if I can just match this. I should have done this before I set them out. We're close. We just have to move it up a little bit and stretch it and just kind of wiggle it until it makes sense. Oh man, I didn't think about this at all. This is going to have to be on before and 2, so it goes above the layer it's on instead of going behind or something ugly like that. But that means each layer of these is going to have to use 2 Z layers, and I've only spaced them out by, say, -3, goes straight into -4. So I'm gonna have to remake some of this, but let me just set up these objects here. Oh goodness, I'm gonna have to do some weird selecting stuff here. Link that and then go into the color and fix it. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be crazy. It's gray, I think. Did I do that? No, I did background colored. Okay. Which is gray, by the way. Just wanted to point that out. We're gonna have to do the correct group as well. You see how that's now gonna light up with its respective layer. I don't want that much contrast, to be honest, so I'm just gonna turn that down. I just want to split it up with a line that's that. I'm gonna have to remake the layering. Man, so this is gonna be -2. The next one has to be -4, just so there's a layer in between them. Okay, it seems like I fixed the layering. I'm just gonna have to grab this object and do the whole 1.5 space, -2 from the layer, increase the layer like this. Okay, this is looking better straight away. There's a bit of a pattern forming. Now I can copy paste this whole thing. I'm gonna get rid of the static camera I set up first though. Kinda cooking with this background, I'm not gonna lie. You should see it splitting up at the top now, which is super cool. You see how it's moving away from me? I like this background so far. I think the pulsing effect is really cool. Could probably have more to it, but it's a super subtle, bricky looking background, if that makes sense. Bricky? Is that a word? I don't know. It's like, I don't know, it's like bricked up. Gonna try and create a little ripple effect between each layer. So we have this movement at the start, which is nice. I'm gonna just put that right at the start of the level. Then I'm gonna make another set of movements. So starting off with 22, we're gonna go down by 2 blocks and left by 2 blocks. And it's gonna kind of wobble per layer. I don't know what easing to use. I think sign in is gonna work. I'm gonna try with a few. Let's just go a couple of blocks apart. 23, 24, 25. I wanna see how this looks on the bottom. You see how they kind of just shift to the left one by one? Probably gonna make them a little bit closer together in their movements because look, the first one's already done by the time 28 is starting. So let's just move this across. We wanna make a loop where the bottom is just starting to move by the time 31 is starting. So they're all gonna wobble down like like that. I don't know, because the camera is just like screwing me over. It's hard to playtest now. Now let's just make them move up the opposite way, but double for the next movement. This is kind of a Wulzy classic. I'm leaving it 2 little spots before the duration line ends before we start. Let's just do that for this one, and this is going to be another -1. So the first one kind of moves it away from a midpoint. Then the next one boosts it across all the way past the middle and plus another 20 that this moved. And then it kind of just keeps going back and forth. So I'm hoping that this is going to... Sorry, I should actually play the level now. It's going to wobble it a bit and create a cool effect. But that's very, very intense. I'm thinking of just adding an extra little 0.5 to the move time so it's more smooth and the movements feel a little bit more controlled there. I'm liking this. I'm going to just spawn loop the last 2. So let's just do the same technique. Make these spawn triggered, multi-triggered. Start off the spawn loop right here, 33, spawn ordered. And then when we want it to loop, so right here, I think, is that right? No. Hold on. Let's look at the duration lines. How many blocks do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-ish. Let's go to this duration line and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That feels wrong. Is it wrong? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong duration line. It's this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That should be good. Maybe I'll just move it across one more just for good measure. Let's just continue the loop right here. So now it should loop with this movement and we have a wobbly little background. Some of them are moving at different speeds to one another. I think it's going to be pretty neat just to have right there. We should play this in normal mode. I don't know how this is going to look. We have used object lines for those objects, but it's actually working super well, like first try. I'm actually really surprised with how well these colors are working. This is great, dude. I'm a huge fan. Dude, pro tip, I'm going to turn off the natural particles in the level using background effect off. And I'm also going to just hide the ground because that blue ground is getting on my nerves. No matter what color I make it, it's going to be ugly. So I'm just going to turn it off. I'm kind of on like an anti-ground streak recently. I think it's safe to link this entire background together now. I'm just going to move it further down and maybe even scale it up just a tiny bit. Oh gosh. We got to keep the aspect ratio locked because I like the way it is. Hopefully that doesn't add any seams to it because I know scaling up objects sometimes can lead to a massive seam in them. But yeah, this is good. Apart from the fact that there's a clear cutoff at the top. So I'm thinking of adding some sort of transition where they move on. Maybe you can start off in the air by 5 because that's where the camera starts. We can take a set of movements like this one and just set them to not be spawn triggered or anything. Oh, these ones aren't anyway. Great. Awesome. That's good to know. We can just make them float down by 5 going into the level with like an ease like this. So hopefully that just makes them shift in. Yeah, okay, that's perfect. There's a lot of movements going on there, but it definitely smooths itself out and goes into the center of the screen towards the end where there's no seams or anything. It just looks like a cool wavy background. And for a movement off, I think I can literally just put like a exponential in movement out, something like this. I don't exactly know what I'm doing. I'm gonna play through in normal mode actually and just try not to float off the level. I'm very happy with this. I've probably spent about 20 minutes just making this background right now. I don't know how long the video is gonna be. Sorry, Schween. I feel like I yapped a lot making that. Let's just keep going here because I am very excited to try and make this work. That moves off way too quick. Oh my gosh. Oh, I just put the movement in the complete wrong place somehow. Let's just sync it up with the portal. Let's see here. We should have a nice swift movement down. Wow, that took a while to go. Oh my gosh. I can't time anything right. I think it's mainly the fact that I'm trying to use exponential when I should just be using back in. And dude, why am I putting the move triggers at the portal? I should be looking at the duration line endings. Oh my gosh. Let's see here. Go up and then down. Perfect. Perfect. I didn't get the gameplay right for that cut, but whatever, it's fine. All right, folks, I just spent 1 hour building, and this is pretty much as far as I got with the designs. Don't worry, I'm going to delete them because I'm not really a fan of how everything was going. This design is very copy-pasty. There's a lot of strange movements going on with block to block. I don't know. It just feels very messy. It's not the vibe that I want. I wanted the structuring to be very minimalistic and to feel futuristic, and I feel like I didn't get that out of this design, so here's the practice run. I do really like these blocks. I like the connections between them. I want to use particles more creatively as part of the structuring, but now I gotta go ahead and remove some stuff. This is why you make backups of levels, guys. Just wanted to put that out there. It can be a nightmare to just go around and delete all of the stuff. Whoa! These glow objects were 2,000 objects. Oh my gosh, I had to make them out of corner pieces because of layering issues. 3,000 objects just like that, gone. I have kept some blocks because, unfortunately, I have replaced a few structures in the level with just blocks I was using in the design. Like, for example, these square blocks are actually just objects. Like, what I'm saying is these blocks are actually the structures in the level now. And oh my goodness, I was using structures that aren't even on grid. That could be a nightmare. Oh no. Yeah, make backups, guys. This is horrendous. I'm gonna go ahead and fix all of the structuring right now. I'm pretty sure this is gonna be a time lapse. Alrighty, I have completely stripped this gameplay down into tiny little structures like this because I want this to be extremely readable. I want all the structures to have a lot of impact on the screen instead of having a lot of enclosed structures that fill the space. Now, I've accidentally deleted a pad right there, but everything else seems to all be good. I now have to get rid of some triggers and stuff that I placed in the previous iteration, and this should be fine. Now, I'm going to focus on placing some extra details that kind of stem from these structures. For example, right here, I placed these slabs down because I knew that I should be able to place in some other details on top. For example, these little rotating objects can be put down here. Or background blending, maybe, with like full opacity here. Something like this. If I copy paste downwards with a lock on the aspect ratio, I should be able to multi-stack these objects and create like a little circle. This is where I started on my previous Extreme Demon Redemption arc. I just placed a bunch of details that I thought would work for structuring. Then I'm going to focus on adding some extra detail in. So I have an invisible color setup here, which is black blending. Black light does not exist, so this object that is black blending should, if I get the colors the right way around, allow just the baseline of this object to be visible on its own. So I'm going to use lava as this line. I'm actually going to warp it up to be pretty large. It kind of stretches out the animation a little bit, but oh well. This should look fine. I want to start copying this around. The beam itself should have more to it, I think. I might flip it around and add like a lower opacity version of it that can be faster. If I just use this speed on double or something. Not double. There's a weird overlap there. It doesn't really make sense. I just wanted to make a little effect where it's kind of spreading apart. In fact, I should be able to rotate these slightly apart from one another so it becomes like a triangle shape, and I might be able to fill that in with something else. I wonder if there's a pixel object that could fill this gap like this. If I set this object up with some background colors and just crank them, let's just see what happens. Like, this should be a fun detail to have if I can just fit it inside. It doesn't really work because these objects are kind of wiggling a bit and this object does not. But maybe if I held down the original vision with like that one vertical line, I bet I could get something out of this. Yeah, like this object surely would work with a little extra speed. Let's just give it 5.0, so it's kind of like boop, boop, boop. But I have to use a lot of these for that to look cool. I don't know. I think I'm just going to keep it like this for now. Or I could just rotate it around like so. We could even use a particle to make this work. Aha! I can kind of... yeah, it works a bit. I mean, it's not insane, but I think it's fine. I want to go with more creative details that kind of challenge structuring in a sense. Structuring is often too boxy, and I think this is a good remedy for it. As long as I don't overuse this kind of thing. I don't know. If I tweak the colors later, this will work better. But for now, let's just use this design. Just in sections where I have gaps underneath the blocks, like right here. Okay, in other sections of the blocks, I think I want to use some invisible objects. This is something that's been working for me. I can never find them though. Here they are. To create like a shiny block, what I'm going to do is copy paste this, move it to the right, and then use this striped design on a tall warp here. What I want to do is make this no touch at all, just to make sure that this doesn't have collision or anything. I want to put it in some blocks like this, or above, or like inside, or I don't know. Maybe behind would work better. It's like an extra pillar. This should be background blending, and it shouldn't be too bright so it doesn't fight with the other stripy structures that we have. But I want to have this object kind of as a pillar going behind to create a bit of extra structuring, but that looks kind of strange. I wonder how I can improve that. Maybe a slope would give it a more interesting shape, definitely with no touch on it still. Just copy and move to the side like this. Remember, I'm going to put a design inside, but you see how it kind of creates kind of alien looking block. I just need to make sure it's on a decent enough color, because these are going to stack and go very bright, so this shouldn't have to be that opaque at all. The game kind of does the heavy lifting using that object, you see? Let's delete some from the very right-hand side. We can just rock with 5 of them and then flip them around. And maybe if I just squish these down, I can put them in the structures like this. And I should be able to overlap them. I don't see why not, unless it gets extremely bright. We'll just have to see. It does get very bright, okay. But I think I'm onto something using these, so I'm just going to make sure they don't fade, don't enter. They're on a new editor layer, and we can just use these every now and then. Not too often, just in the spots where there are no other pillars or anything. Okay, I'm glad I'm taking this structuring from a new angle here, because this is looking very unique so far. I'm not sure if I'm going to use the white outline for the blocks and stuff. I think it'd be better if I used some kind of object that has, I don't know, we're just going to use background colors for the blocks just to look, but then we're going to use brightness decreases on the inside and brightness increases on the outside, so there's more contrast to the background. I just play this through and put the object like right in the middle. We can still see this, and there's not too much contrast or anything. And that gives me a great template. Just right slap bang on B4. I moved the background to B5 in my last decoration attempt. We could actually use B5, but I want to use B4 just so I've got space behind, or maybe even B3, so I can use B4 as a whole other layer. I don't know, like a glow backdrop or something on B4 just to make that pop out. Maybe like a swirling decoration object that can sit there on the bottom of B4 below that glow object. Like, there's plenty of options here. I'm gonna figure out the actual object first. Before I forget, I'm gonna set out another version of this. It's gonna have to use 2 objects because I don't think a slab or a tile like this exists. So I'm gonna have to custom make it and just copy the values over onto each block real quick. Just like this. Oh man, that did not copy as smoothly as I would have thought. Man, I gotta layer this and stuff. Ugh. So this block is B3 and 2. I'm gonna put this glow on B3 and 1. So that's nice and compact. I'm gonna just quickly set this up like right here for this object. Just gonna squish it down so it's the same. I'm gonna make a bunch of versions of this. I think just 3 per. I'm gonna nab that outline color. If I just place down this object, squish it inwards, and then paste the state, I should be able to place it right on top of this object and create a cool pattern there. It doesn't even look like a slab when I do that though. See if I can make it a bit wider. Yeah, just gonna use some fun details. I don't know. I think for this set, I'm gonna put some glow on top, which is going to be background blending. That has to be a full Z layer above. I'm gonna make it pretty bright too. There we go, and then we can just warp that down to fit inside the slab. That looks pretty cool, just sitting on the outside somehow. What I want to do is just go down like this and move it inwards. Yeah, this looks good. Just going with super simple designs that are just gonna sit on the edges. Can put a brick onto this one like so. Add my nice little details. Well, that looks tough. That's a lot of contrast. I like it. Might add some little glow onto the corners of these actually. I'd rather put it right in the center of the block. Free move and snap this thing and move it up like so. And just stretch it to add a little bit of light to the top. Yeah, that looks fine. Can just create a spiky block. Why not? Oh, that looks nice. We can put an extra bit of detail in there, I think. Maybe I can even just move it inwards. Add a centerpiece that is lower opacity. I'm gonna vary the brightnesses of these, because why not? Yeah, that looks cool. I don't see why I can't just do like a super simple line effect for this one. Oh, I wanted to do particles. I completely forgot, dude. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna do 2 particles that don't move at all. So no angle, no speed, no variance, no anything. It's gonna sit there and go bigger and smaller like this and just fade into each other. The lifetime should not be varied. We should just have a constant emission of squares. I don't know why it's not constant. Why is it random? This is sick. What I've done here is I have made an effect here with a circle, so it very frequently respawns and has a random rotation each time. And obviously I'm spinning it way too much. It should be much less. But something like this could be super neat. I don't know if I can add a fade on it. It doesn't look as cool. Maybe we should have multiple of these. Don't know why one's a square and one is a regular object. That was really weird. I think that's a bug. Yeah, if I put multiple down, this should fix. I don't know why the particle editor is bugging like this, but should be able to get a cool effect on the blocks. It's just spawning way too much. I can definitely make it chill out. Yeah, something like this will be really neat, right? I think it looks cool. I'm gonna make it use the object color, which is going to be the background blending thing. And I can do another one on the inside. It's gonna be brighter. There we have an effect, I guess. It's not the greatest. Maybe the one on the back should have a longer lifetime. I turn down the the emission as well, it kind of has a more sludgy effect. It's like a little constant circle just sitting there. So I'm going to copy that and put it on another block on this side. I accidentally just clicked off the game because I clicked on a mod that I'm not used to having and I never use, to be honest. Oh, wow. I actually just banged that out. I didn't even mean to do what I just did, but I now have a little star effect on the inside of this little diamond, which I think is neat. I want to add just a tiny little shiny or dancing effect to each block, I think. I don't want to use too many particles, though. I don't know. I just think it'll be fun to just add a bit of texture to these objects using strips like this that maybe don't spin, but have a bit of variance in their position. Yeah, because look, we could create a really cool slope, just stretching these out. A slab, sorry. Just stretching these out. Yeah, like look how cool this looks. I should definitely make the lifetime quicker, add more particles to it. Yeah, it's more of a shimmer this way. That looks so sick. Maybe I should just have 2 particle iterations. I don't know. And make them the main ones, and then these can be the support blocks. Some of them are light, some of them are dark. I don't like this one. The more I look at it, the more I don't like it. Now I want to put another particle in the block. Oh my gosh, dude. I am absolutely losing it. Oh, check this out. If I increase that, we can make a super cool rotating effect. Dude, I am on fire right now. Absolutely on fire. This should be super dark, though. I don't want this to be much more intense. In fact, I can definitely create a flat layer on the top that is going to be lighter than the rest. Okay. Am I going to build something in this video, or am I just going to sit and look at particles? Like, what am I doing here? No. Oh, man. Come on. There's got to be something that just sticks straight away. That thing looks cool. That thing looks amazing. Dude. How do I make it fit inside the block, though? Okay, maybe I can just do a cross-section design like that. Why not? Please don't lag the level. I'd be so upset. Why not, dude? I think it looks cool. All right, now I gotta do another linking session, I think. Before I do that, I'm gonna set one object in each block, probably just the main block itself, as the area parent. Just so one of these objects, if I add an area effect, is like the control per each linked set. So like this object, this object. Otherwise, you get every single object within each kind of block trying to do its own thing. I need to quickly turn off link controls and delete those lines that I put in because I think it just looks better with that on its own. I just realized that this object right here is the only object that I made out of an actual block. Pretty sure. I think it looks better with these slabs. So I've just been copy pasting these things for the last 5 minutes or so, just in random, well not random, but like coordinated spots. And I've realized I need to fill in the mini ones. So I don't know how I'm gonna like scale this down accurately. I guess I just shift this object right on top and then warp it until it perfectly hits the sides, like right here. But I've realized if I'm gonna put mini blocks in the level, I'm gonna have to make it an object that is not a particle because I really don't want this to be a lag fest. Look how cool these structures look. They're kind of just like dancing. Isn't it sick? I only have one square object that doesn't have a particle in it. So I guess this is the one I'm gonna be using for all of my mini blocks, but I hope it's fine. Okay, I wanna add something to this because every other object has something bright in it. I do something like this where there are 2 rods and one is thicker than the other. Oh, almost. Come on. Dude, it's gotta fit. Yes, okay. That's fine. This is also sneakily my most used slab, or it's about to be. Just to save out on the particle usage. Oh, gosh, dang it. I already missed out on a block here. That's so unfortunate. Okay, I think we are good. That should be every single block done. I'm gonna move some of the objects away from editor layer number 3. I don't know why it was a good idea to put them there in my brain. Let's set these away to like 6 or something where they're gonna be all by themselves. Because I need to delete these blocks away. Oh, the spikes and stuff are gonna pose an issue, aren't they? Okay, here we go. Let's just click on hide. Make sure that these final structures have no touch enabled on them. So you can go through that block. Okay, now we should see how the structures are looking in the level. And oh my gosh, they look so much better than I thought they would. Holy moly. Now obviously the spikes are not designed or anything. I gotta do this still, but this looks beautiful. I haven't even set these up to move yet, which is an insane part that I just realized. That's insane, dude. I've done like nothing. These look great. Like the colors are suited so well with the gradient and stuff. Oh man, I've missed a block, haven't I? Yeah, expect a lot of this. I'm very excited to design these spikes and add some extra details that have similar colors to them, but man, this is a much better attempt than my first try decorating this. Dude, oh my goodness. And there's so much room for like expanding beneath them. Super happy with the design so far. Oh my gosh, the invisible blocks that add that extra bit of texture to the blocks look great too. Okay, I still got it, guys. I can do it. I can decorate this. Should just be able to go to this layer now since every single block is linked. Oh, we have some invisible blocks and stuff too behind, but that's fine. I'm gonna set all of these to be on an area move. It's kind of risky, but I think it's gonna pay off. Group number 34 is gonna enter onto the screen. It's gonna be like so minimal, by the way. Just wanted to point that out. 15 blocks it's gonna take for them to move half a block. You know how insane that is? That's like barely gonna move at all. Only on the x-axis. I think that's good. Maybe some of them can move a little bit extra, or maybe some of them can have an angle. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. But you see, these blocks should kind of be sliding into place. You see that? They have their own cheeky little movements. Now, that's actually kind of tame. I think I can do better than that. It should be moving like upwards a bit. So let's just do 45. So they're going from the bottom right up and left like this. I took off that angle that was kind of varied and I just put it on like a consistent 45, and this is gonna look good once we have spikes and stuff in. This is great. Just to show you how it's working. It's going from the bottom right upwards. I don't know. This is wrong. This is just so wrong. You should never do this. You can probably do something cool with the easing. I'm gonna see about that right now. Just shortening the length and adding a different easing so they kind of snap into place quicker. This is fine. I can get away with moving them further with that exponential out, which completely stops them well before I get there. But yeah, it's kind of hard to read in sections like the robot where you need to know how far you're jumping before you do it, you know? So I'm just going to keep it tame. Just going to be on like a regular 150 length and probably just an ease and out. I'm not going to lie. Or a bounce. A bounce could be neat because the rest of the level's kind of quaking a little bit with the portals and orbs and stuff. I don't know. Let's keep it smooth. I do want to try kind of varied rotation as well, just because I like to experiment and I don't get to do it much with extreme demons. I should have definitely made that a touch triggered trigger, just because sometimes these area triggers break. When you pause after it, it just like permanently sets the objects to be broken. But you see how they're kind of rotated off to the side right now? I think this looks sick. I would love for it to affect the way that they go on the screen. And it does. This looks good. I like it like that. It's just a very chill rotation where none of the blocks really break. I might, an emphasis on might, be able to do an area scale where they go down a tiny little bit. So we can make them go down to like 70% of their size in the areas that we are not in. I don't know. I don't want to play with it too much more than just this, because now some of these objects, well, all of them are tiny, and then they're going to scale up onto the screen. That's going to create a cool entrance transition. But we need to figure out what we're going to do with the spikes. We should probably attach them to some of the blocks or make them have their own little enter effect. But this looks great. This is perfectly readable. I might even change that angle that they move at to be a bit more horizontal and then give them a bit of choice with a variance bit of plus or minus 5. But yeah, let's just save and play. I'm eager to decorate this, but I don't know if I'm going to do it in this video because it's probably extremely long at this point. This thing looks fantastic so far. I think I've done a great job with it overall. Compared to my first attempt, man, that was awful. I'm gonna do one more playthrough while I'm yapping. I'm so excited to build this level. I feel like I've improved so much as a creator. I have understood through trying and failing with Wulzy Wednesdays and stuff how to build and how not to build and what usually goes wrong and what doesn't and what doesn't, what that was a lot. That was a lot of words, and I don't think I actually successfully pronounced a lot of them or put them in a grammatical order that makes sense. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this building video. I hope it made sense, and thank you so much for watching. Check the links in the description. Leave a like and subscribe. I don't know what that error pop-up was. Have a good day.